It's September 19th, 2024. This is Roqe. Well, hi there. Welcome to episode 338 of Roqe, and welcome to a brand new season of Roqe, season number 6. I'm Jian Gameshi. Hello to you from Toronto. Hello to you from Canada. Salam Dustan Aziz Durud Bashama. Hope you're doing well wherever you are tuning in from around the world. Hello, smart Pegah.
Hello.
Welcome back to a new season of Roqe, and welcome to the new studio.
Yes.
The new Roqe Hub Roqe Studio.
I know. We're finally here.
You're wearing red, which goes with the colors of the studio.
I'm actually wearing red and black. So specifically for today's show.
For keen observers of our new set, they will notice that it's red, black, and there's some a blue, an aqua kind of blue as well, or sort of a purpley blue, I guess you'd call it. Keen observers who can now watch us on YouTube.
They can. Very exciting. And keen observers, I noticed some decor that wasn't here a couple of days ago. That Arsenal Cup magically appeared in the background.
We've got a set. We've got a brick wall, our new Roqe set. If you can now not just listen to the show, but watch the show on YouTube. We used to put up clips of interviews. Now we're trying the whole show on YouTube.
Yes.
And so we've got a brick wall. I mean, explaining this to people on YouTube who are watching it. But and then
as you can see,
a few things from Jian's basement. We got an old Bowie record. We got an Arsenal mug. A Persepolis. Imagine Satrapi's Persepolis. What else we got here?
On air over
there. A bunch
of
Bowie, some Rumi.
Yeah. No, it looks great. Right. See, I was saying a couple of weeks ago when we were doing the show and we hadn't yet I guess debuted this setup. I was saying that it's incredible, and you were saying don't oversell it. Now they can see.
Well, don't oversell it.
It's amazing. What do you mean? What is there to oversell? I can't. I'm excited.
It is nice to be in the Roqe studio, and it's nice to be doing a new season of Roqe on this program here in the Roqe studio. A feature interview with Armin Amiri.
Yes.
Now, you may remember, people may remember Armin Amiri. He's been on the show a couple of times. He's a dear friend of ours. He's a successful actor. He's had a very, very interesting career in all kinds of stuff since escaping from Iran as a young man and coming as a refugee west. But most recently, he's been in the Sex and the City reboot, Sex and the City 2, which is called And Just Like That. Armin is going to be back on that show for a new season, and so he has been here in Toronto doing promotion for all kinds of things, including that, and he's here on the show to talk about that and other things.
Yeah, I will say I do watch the show, and I was surprised when I saw him on screen, actually.
Hunky Armin Amiri.
How did that come on?
Well, I'm just saying, don't you think?
I thought that was in response to me saying that.
Yeah, maybe that's why you appreciate him.
No, I think he's wonderful.
He's aesthetically pleasing to you.
Yes, this is also true.
Armin Amiri, and just like that. And then later in the show, Bahar Eslami and Mona Hassanzadeh. They're both from they are the co-founders of the events and marketing and networking agency Divan from Vancouver.
Yes.
Bahar Eslami is no stranger to our show. She was actually on the show in the first year of Roqe, going back over 4 years ago, she was on the show, and then came back during the Mahsa Amini uprising. It did a very heartfelt segment with us. She is, of course, very well known in social media. She was one of Iran's first fashion bloggers. I think she was the first fashion blogger.
I think she might have been the first,
Became very, very well known, and then got into the crosshairs of the regime, and had prison time, was pending prison time, all that, and escaped. They shut down all her social media. She had to rebuild her presence, which was not easy because that was her whole, she was one of the OGs of the online world 10, 12 years ago. And so she came to Canada, came to Vancouver, and a few years ago, just 4 or 5 years ago, started to rebuild this thing. And of course, now she's right back, and she's developed this new events community, Divan, with 3 other women. There's 4 of them, and it's getting a lot of buzz. And they just had an event here in Toronto, and now they're here in the studio.
Yeah, excited to hear more from her.
Bahar and Mona, who was doing something called, what was it called? Little Angels in Tehran, also an events company. They're just really interesting people. Tanaz, Hasti, Mona, and Bahar, who do Divan, and they've got kind of I'm going to tell them this in the interview, but I like how they market themselves. It's almost like they're a band, like they got these cool videos of. I mean, I don't know if an events programming company, an agency, like, who looks as cool as these 4?
I've seen some of their promo videos.
They're like walking on the street like they're the Beatles or like they're Radiohead or something.
Exactly.
It's very cool. Okay, so Bahar Eslami, Mona Hassanzadeh, Armin Amiri coming up. We should also mention, in terms of, it's a new season, but we've got business to do, because next week, next Friday, September 27th, in the Greater Toronto area, in fact, just north of Toronto, in a place called Vaughan, or Thornhill. Thornhill Khudabun. In Thornhill is Roqe Live 3. What is Roqe Live? It is, we do Roqe in front of an audience of humans. So it's a pretty big theater that we're doing this in next week. Friday, September 27th. It's a killer lineup that we're super excited about. Shapal Shapare will be our Icon Award recipient. He's going to be there. The great Nusha Fareen will be there, the legendary pop singer and actress. Anu Shah, also an actress who is of a different generation, but is also, speaking of people who are well known in the online space, she's got this huge following, and she's very involved in the wellness and meditation kind of world. Anu Shah is part of this show coming up at Roqe Live 3, as is Solmaz Baqir, our friend, the psychologist and podcaster. And this duo from Montreal, Ariane and Sarah, who are an Iranian-Canadian couple who do this kind of cool jazz pop fusion music, and they will be performing, and some special surprises.
Yeah, some special surprises for sure.
Well, do you know about the special surprises?
Well, I know we're having special surprises, and last time you surprised even our team. I didn't even know some of the stuff you were going to do, so I know you've got some things up your sleeve. Well,
I will tell you this: there will be a couple of performers, who we cannot announce, but who will be performing as part of Roqe Live 3.
Will you be one of those performers?
No, not including me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
I can neither confirm nor deny. Anyway, so Roqe Live 3. Now, tickets, there are still some tickets left.
Yes. Some limited
it is going to sell
number
out,
of tickets.
But yeah. In fact, most of the good seats are gone.
Don't do you say that
delicately. It's fucking. I mean, all the seats are numbered, so the ones that are in the front are the ones that the first. 15 rows are the ones that people have bought tickets. But
the way that the setup is, honestly, anywhere you sit, there's still good seats. I don't want anyone to think that
everyone wins at Christmas time.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not true. The seats at the back are shitty. No, it's true. Actually, it's kind of an interesting place because it's a pretty big theater.
Yeah, and
but it feels intimate, and the seating is raised. So in the back it's still quite good.
You still get a great view. Yeah, that's right.
Roqe Live 3 next week, September 27th. If it's in the Greater Toronto area, so if you're in Canada, if you're anywhere in North America, if you're a citizen of the world who has access to an airplane, come to Roqe Live 3. Now, where do people get tickets?
So go to our website, go to our Instagram. We've got links set up. Make sure you follow the links. You'll be able to get your tickets online. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us either via Instagram, email. We're here to answer. But it's actually quite easy. As long as you follow the prompts, follow the link, it'll walk you through. It's just like buying concert tickets if anyone's ever done Ticketmaster or anything like that.
So you go to our Instagram and there's a little link in the bio.
Link in the bio, that's right.
If this is the first time you're experiencing Roqe, this is as good as it gets. We just sit here and promote things, and then at those shows we promote our other shows. Yeah, so there's really
that's about it.
The show's over. I mean, this is pretty. Okay, Roqe Live 3. Armin Amiri coming up, Bahar Eslami, Mona Hassanzadeh. Last night, actually, here in the Roqe Hub, the Roqe set is part of a main space and a bunch of areas that we have that's I'm very proud of this, kind of a creative hub here. And last night we had an event for our volunteers for Roqe Live 3, and some of them
joined us, yes.
Had the hosele to come, and that was nice.
It was so nice. Actually, I got a couple of messages from some of the volunteers, and they said, the studio looked great, and the setup was wonderful, and it was so good to catch up and see everybody. So we had a good time last night.
Yeah, we did have a good time, and we have to thank those volunteers already who are working hard on the show next week, and a bunch of sponsors that we're going to be talking about a lot in the next couple of weeks, and certainly at the show who've really made this thing happen.
For sure.
So Roqe Live 3, we're excited about it. Now, normally we do a roundup. That's what part of your beat is, the Roqe Roundup, which is kind of catching up on the news of what's happening. We've basically gone an entire summer without doing a regular roundup. So I thought there's way too much news to catch up on. I thought that we could pick a couple of things from recent days to talk about before we get to our feature. And it'd be so interesting looking at you in this new space. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it's got such a great vibe.
You've got a big neon Roqe behind you.
I know. I've got the Roqe sign behind me, and the colors.
You've got the Arsenal mug behind me.
I know that. I keep catching sight of it. We still need the Arsenal bell. That's what I need. I got to order a bell. What's the Arsenal bell? Every time you say Arsenal, that was our.
An angel gets its wings. Gets its wings.
Something like that. Now we're going into the doom and gloom soon.
Well, I was going to say there's news to catch up on. It's true. It's all kind of, it's really never great news, is it? When we're talking about Iranian stuff. I mean, there's been some nice events. God, what can we leave with something good? The food is still good. Our culture is still has great food.
All very true.
I thought one thing we could talk about to begin with is it was the second anniversary of the horrible killing of Mahsa Amini that led to an historic outpouring and uprising in Iran and then around the world for the months and really about a year and a half after that. So the anniversary was this past weekend. There were demonstrations around the world. There was a lot of people marking this. Anything stick out for you about this moment?
I think one of the things that I'm continuously impressed by is, and we've talked about this so many times, is our resilience. No matter how much time has surpassed, no matter how many times, we've been beaten to the ground, literally and figuratively, people are still showing up. And I think that's something that we've talked about over the last 2 years with, repeatedly saying that the goalposts have moved, and they really have. We see that in the activism. We see that in the fact that, despite the fact that really things have not changed in Iran, we're still seeing that level of activism. We're still seeing people show up. We're still seeing people organize these rallies and commemorate some of the atrocities, and to still try to have our voices heard. So, yeah.
I might disagree with you. Well, I certainly don't want to be a downer.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we're still seeing the kind of level of activism that
I wouldn't say the same level, but I mean, look at TIFF the last couple of weeks. We had films from depicting.
Okay. Oh, I see. And you're relating that to
I think all of this is related because we're now seeing different methods
TIFF
of how we're doing
is the Toronto International Film Festival.
Yes.
Stop being so Toronto-centric.
I know, I can't
What
help
if somebody's listening in Brisbane?
What if someone's listening in Ottawa?
Exactly. That's even worse. They would hate talking about Toronto. Yeah.
I know. Yes, TIFF is the Toronto International Film Festival that just occurred last week. There were a couple of films that told the stories of some of the occurrences that that happened over the last 2 years with Women Life Freedom Movement. And yeah, I was relating it
Which,
to
by
that.
the way, I think is an interesting development because it's clear that Iranian film, in as much as we can super generalize, has moved beyond the space of allegory, the
Yes.
kind of allegorical, metaphorical type of films that were made with the new wave, partly because they were being made in Iran and they had to find subtle or innovative ways to make their point. But it was like, this shoe represents the regime and that balloon is resistance, and that type of thing, all of which was beautiful in some cases.
Yeah.
But it really struck me that the films that are being made now, and certainly the films being made by Iranian filmmakers and a cast of Iranians outside of Iran, tend to be much more, for lack of a better term, like activist type films that are making a more pointed political point, for example,
That's right.
rather than needing to be steeped in allegory.
Yeah, and well, that's what I was saying. I think that shows the continued activism in and of itself. We've shifted from, the different methods that were used before, and now we're becoming more focused on democratic values. We're more focused on how we can have our voices heard and how and who to target. So I think, I still find light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on some of that. I just feel like if there was an overwhelming sentiment, I would say it feels like we're still living through a collective deflation, a collective sigh of, oh, wow, we're back to somewhat where we were.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to kind of, again, I feel like I do feel like a downer. I mean, it's almost to the point where I don't want to make this point, but I think it's one that we need to make. 2 years ago at this time, and certainly 2 years ago, say a month later, so I guess a year and 11 months ago, that type of thing. A lot of credible, smart Iranians around the world really believed, people who work in this field, people who have studied, academics, not just the activists, people really believed that this was the change. This was the revolution. I mean, it was part of the chant. It was this time. It's it's going to be changed. And person after person came on this show. Artists, sports figures, political figures, whomever, saying, up until now I never believed it, but this time they're gone. And in that context, it's very difficult to think about where we are now. And yes, somebody could make the argument that, well, come on. I mean, look at this little change. The movies have changed, or people are feeling more defiant, or there's white weddings and white marriages in Iran, or maybe even there's women on the subway in Iran not wearing a hijab, whatever it might be. But overall, not only does it feel like the goalposts didn't move a lot, it also feels like the regime consolidated in some ways. It's got strong relationships with other dictatorships in the region. It's built its kind of mission, messianic kind of idea of spreading its Islamism. And a lot of the things that felt like gains that were being made at that time, like, oh, this is the death of reformism, no one's ever going to want to deal with this regime again, are right back. I mean, it's, there's a general will around resuscitating the nuclear deal with the United States and stuff. No, I mean, and that was anathema. That was unheard of about a year and a half ago. It was like, no, man, this is the revolution. That stuff is gone forever. So in that context, again, to take nothing away from the incredible people, some of whom have been on this show, who are constantly giving their lives over to trying to create positive change in Iran. But to say nothing of all those efforts and the people who were out in the streets last Saturday and Sunday around the world. I would say the overwhelming feeling has not been, yay, the goalposts have changed, but has been, fucking hell, this is, and I feel bad that the people who at that time we thought were being cynical and overly pessimistic, and and
ended up being right.
Yeah.
No,
when they were going, no, this regime is too savvy. They're too autocratic. They've got too much of an iron fist. They're not going to let this happen. And we were like, are you kidding? No,
I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you, but I think, what's the alternative? Throw our hands up in the air and say, okay, well, everyone who died the last 2 years, let's add it to the list and that sort of thing. So I think, it's a balance between trying to keep some level of optimism and recognizing the reality of everything you just mentioned.
Right. You mentioned Trump and Kamala.
I did.
And Comrade.
And Kamala.
I have something to say about this, what's going on with, I'm loath to wade into this. First of all, I want to do an episode on who I mean, at least for Iranian-Americans who have a direct stake in this, and get to vote on their election in the States. Although it's kind of, I guess you can make the case that Iranians around the world have a stake in the
I was going to say
Trump versus Harris, and what the next administration is going to do. But I want to do an episode in the coming weeks, and we were talking about doing it next week, in fact, about who is the better answer for Iranians. If you looked at these candidates strictly through the prism of what's better for Iran, nothing else. Not border policy or abortion or the environment or, progressive politics versus, Neanderthal, whatever it is. No, just what is better for Iran? What is better for Iranians? And it's a tough one.
Very much
because, there's a number of things that Trump has said and done over the years that would disqualify him for me. I remember interviewing the Central Park Five guys, the guys who were wrongly accused of stuff in New York years ago, and Trump was the one calling for a death penalty back then for them. This is one of the famous stories. These kinds of things that have always and of course I interviewed Trump many years ago, and got some insight into him at that point. And there's lots of reasons why I wouldn't necessarily park my vote with him.
Right.
But on the other hand, honestly, I don't see how there's nothing that Kamala Harris or the Democratic Party has said that would suggest that its policy is going to be any different from what it's been under Biden, which frankly has been a disaster for Iranians in terms of any credible and quantifiable, qualifiable support for the people of Iran against this regime. It's been kind of quiescence, enabling the regime, calling for a New Deal to a certain extent, and throwing a Nowruz party at the White House. I mean, that's about in the middle of women, life, freedom,
that's
right? So it's a tough one, and I strictly through that prism of Iran, I don't know how you could vote.
The lesser of two evils.
I don't even know if I call it. I mean, I don't know if they're evils, but I mean, Kamala seems like a nice person, but on the Iran policy, it's like, well, how do we make sense of that?
Yeah.
How is this going to help? With that said, you want to say anything about this before I want to talk about the cats and dogs?
Yeah. Okay.
I just want to say about the eating the dogs and cats, which has turned into a funny meme.
Yeah.
So the debate happened last week between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, and in that debate, Kamala Harris did a great job of goading and baiting Donald Trump, and Trump, who I think could have actually won the debate if he had just talked policy and said, well, what's happened over the last 3.5 years, which a lot of Americans are sensitive to. He didn't take that opportunity, but instead took the bait and said all kinds of nutso things and trying to defend himself.
Which we knew would happen, of course.
And one of the things he said was, was this... they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, with his New York accent, the cats.
Cannot believe it.
Which has kind of turned into a funny meme. Like, I don't even know if this is going to hurt him in the sense that
I just think it's so ridiculous that of course
it sounds like a lunatic, but you think it's going to hurt him?
I think it's going to hurt. Okay, I think it's going to hurt him on two accounts. One, I mean, it's ludicrous what he's saying. It's completely baseless.
Yes.
There's no truth to this whatsoever, obviously. That's the first thing.
Yes.
The second, so, I mean, again, one of those things that he says that's baseless and makes him look more of an idiot than he is.
Okay.
I have to say it that way.
Yeah.
It is just what it is. That's the first
I
thing.
wouldn't go so far as idiot. I said lunatic.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Sure, lunatic. That's the first thing. The other thing is, if we take a step back, I mean, this is discrimination. Like, at the very least.
Yes,
right?
but that doesn't mean it's going to hurt him.
Okay, why not?
Because some people are cool with that discrimination. Some people want that. Some people, I mean, really. But more so, because it's been turned into a funny meme, it's almost cute. It's like No,
I don't think anyone looks at that video or hears the song and is like, oh, cute.
They turned his mugshot from when he was arrested or whatever into a T-shirt. Yes, people think this is cute. The Trump people themselves are using cat memes. It's part of their thing. And I do think that this type of thing, when you write a song and you have him doing his funny dance and all of that stuff, it softens him somehow. It takes.
Do you think that's appealing?
I don't necessarily find it. I'm going to make the point of why I don't. But I don't necessarily know. I don't necessarily think this is going to hurt him. I honestly don't. I honestly think it's such a fucked up world in social media right now that these things, for somebody not paying attention, the funny old guy, the crazy uncle that said the thing about cats, I like him. God. Whatever. What I was going to say, though, in contrast to that point, is that there are places where things cross a line for me, and I'm so not a person at this stage who wants to cancel people based on something they've said or wants to engage in some kind of like putting Trump into some to use lack of a better term, a woke kind of anti-woke box, like this is the evil of all things, because I think it's reductive and I think it dismisses too many people who make good points about why they vote for people and whatever. But this thing that he was doing with the cats and dogs really bothered me. And it really bothered me because it is something that it's not new. It's something that has been done where you demonize immigrants by telling a story like this. And in this case, it's Haitians. Oh, they're coming and they're eating our dogs and our dogs. They don't just eat dogs and cats. They come and they're going to take Fluffy and Fido, your little dog that you love, and they're going to eat him. Right? And, sometimes when it's another race being being demonized, maybe we don't feel it as much as we would when it's us. But this very particular thing, when I was 12 years old or something like that, and we had come to Canada, and I remember I wrote about this in my book that I put out a decade ago, and about one of the moments that I'm most traumatized by thinking back to, and the way discrimination works and stuff isn't that you remember everything that's ever happened, and it's these little things, and sometimes they're not even the biggest things that happen. Sometimes they're not the most outwardly racist thing, or so. It's this little, the way somebody looked at you, or the way somebody reacted, or the way you felt left out, or whatever it was. And so there was a story that when I was a kid, maybe I wasn't 12. I was younger, but I have to reread my book to remember that.
Remember the age.
But we had moved to Canada, and we had moved to Thornhill, and we had this house, and in the attic there were squirrels and running around and terrorizing us with their little feet, running all night in the attic. And so my dad and I had gone to I'd gone with my dad to go and find some sort of trap,
right?
To trap the squirrels and then take them somewhere and set them free, I think was the idea. But 'cause my dad loved animals, so he wouldn't want to kill the squirrels or something.
Right.
Anyway, we went to, it was a hardware store, and I remember very vividly, as I've recounted, that my dad had a very heavy Persian accent, and he was describing to this guy, and this isn't that, I mean, in history, this isn't that long ago, but it's a very long time ago in the history of migration to Toronto for Iranians, because just two decades, 3 decades, 4 decades ago, there were no Iranians here. All of a sudden now there's So it's a white area, Thornhill at that point, you know.
Very different than Thornhill today.
That's right. Up until the late 90s, early 2000s, it's a very, very different kind of scene. And so the kind of accent that my dad had, very much like yours. No, I'm kidding.
Comron.
The kind of accent that my dad had was where it's something you would hear all the time now in the Greater Toronto area. Maybe people weren't hearing it as much. Anyway, we go to this hardware store and my dad starts talking to the guy behind the counter. This I don't know how you describe him, Canadian guy with a ball cap on. I remember that. And the guy said, you know, my dad was describing we want to trap the squirrels, and the guy said, we don't eat squirrels in this country.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm this kid, and I just felt so. Actually, the worst part of this story, the part I'm most ashamed of with this story, because I really am ashamed, is that I was mad at my dad. In that moment, as a kid who didn't understand the dynamics of what were going on, or racism or generalizations or whatever, I was like, my dad is a foreigner and has this weird accent, and so this guy thinks we're crazy people who eat squirrels, right? We don't eat squirrels in this country, meaning you're not, you know. And so that stuck with me for throughout my life, and that was very scarring as in terms of feeling like you know, you don't just like let go of that. You don't, you know, it's like you go and then play hockey with a bunch of kids who are Canadian kids who've been there for many years, and you're remembering that, you know, last week some guy said to your dad that, you know, we don't eat squirrels in this country. You don't have the agency, you don't have the strength yet to go, that's wrong, why did, you know. So there's some continuity for me in hearing a guy, a bullish kind of guy who wants to score points by and thinks he can win some points by demonizing a bunch of immigrants, saying they're eating our dogs, they're eating our cats, and it's not good, it's not helpful. It's not. I don't want to live in a world where somebody feels that they want to do that, you know. So whatever that has to do with votes or politics or who wants to, you know, or Iran policy, that really fucking bothered me.
Yeah, I mean, in the context of what you just said, it really bothered me too, for sure. And that's what I was saying at the beginning, is that, you know, I think at the core of it, regardless of how many funny memes you make about it or what kind of music you put it onto, that's what it really is. And I think if people recognize that and take a minute, even if they have a chuckle at the video or the meme or whatever else, but if they recognize that, I don't know how that could be good for him in any way.
Yeah.
And I hope it's not.
That said, Trump 24.
Oh, God.
we need a tough
here.
Iran policy. All right. Anything else you want to add?
It's good. It's a good first show back.
It's good to be back. It's good that we're looking forward to Roqe Live next week. We're going to bring in our first guest.
I'm very excited.
Thank you, Pegah. See you on after our guests.
See you soon.
Pegah Ganji. All right, my returning guest today is an Iranian-American actor, producer, interior designer. Armin Amiri was born in Tehran. He left Iran at the age of 13, first for Istanbul, then stops in Bulgaria, Yugoslavia, before he arrived in Vienna to seek political asylum. It was 1989 that Armin moved to San Francisco, thereafter studied at ACT Conservatory before moving to New York City and pursuing acting. And he's developed a really impressive resume. His films include Terry George's Reservation Road, The Wrestler, starring Mickey Rourke, Factory Girl, starring Guy Pearce, as well as September's in Shiraz with Wayne Blair. Armin's TV credits include Deep State and NCIS New Orleans, to name a few. And alongside his artistic career, he also has had a successful one in interior design. Most recently, Armin has been appearing regularly in that Sex and the City spin-off series called And Just Like That. He'll be back for another season of that. But first, with me here in the new Roqe studio in Toronto is Armin Amiri. Hello, sir.
Hello to you, sir.
خوش آمدید.
خیلی ممنون. What introduction? I owe you a beer.
just a beer?
Hey, whatever it
Not
takes.
a whiskey, something more upmarket. You've got a nice jacket on.
Yes, sir.
It's so nice to have you here in person.
Thank you so much. I was looking forward to sitting here.
You've been on.
I love your studio, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, it
The
looks
new
great.
studio. Yeah, you're christening it. You're one of the first guests.
No, I like it a lot, and it really embodies who you are, and so it's great. Congratulations.
Do people say Alec Baldwin ever to you? A younger? I've never thought that until you're sitting here right now. I'm fucking talking to
You're
Alec
the third
Baldwin.
person. You're third person, and I have no idea where that comes from. But okay, it's a huge compliment.
Third person ever or third person recently?
Third person recently.
Yeah,
like in past 6 months.
because something you've got to all of a sudden
Yeah. I mean,
you're peak Alec Baldwin, not old Alec Baldwin or
I just got to learn how to do Trump, and I'll be all just fine.
that's right. Well, welcome to Canada, by the way. I
Thank
think
you.
of you. I mean, you're famously, of course, an Iranian who is passionate about Iran and works with Iranian artists. But I think of you as an American because you were a New York City guy for so long.
That's right.
So you're basically an American visiting Canada.
Very much so, and I'm very much aware of it. Coming here is right away. You kind of like get the energy that it's not a U.S. It looks like it. It looks like sometimes London, but it has its own thing, and I really appreciate
You've been here before, right?
being here before many times. Not in Toronto alone, but actually Vancouver,
Which is nowhere near Toronto.
which is nowhere near Toronto. But I really liked how you guys treat your people here.
Well, treat our people. What do you
Yeah.
mean? You mean
Yeah,
Canadians?
citizens. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, yes. I mean, the reputation is that embarrassingly nice people is the idea.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's always true, but
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Boring a little bit.
oh,
No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, settle down, easy. You had so much stock amongst the Canadians. Yeah, have you been to Toronto yet? Have you been to the Iranian part of
No,
Toronto
I
yet?
have not.
It's gonna blow your mind. It's like,
Oh, wow. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, you're going to be, we're going to get to part of the reason you're here. But first thing I wanted to say to you is congratulations on this Sex and the City reboot series and just like that. How has that experience been for you? I know it's ongoing.
Yeah.
What has that been like, being in a big series which is kind of an iconic series with those characters and Sarah Jessica Parker, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I have a long history with Sex and the City in a lot of different ways because I lived on Perry Street in Greenwich Village in New York for about 11 years. So I was 2 doors down from where Carrie Bradshaw's house is always captured.
Oh,
People
really?
come
When
down.
they
Yeah.
shot the original series?
Yeah, they still actually use it.
Oh, they still use it?
Yeah, they still use the front, not the inside. And then way back when I was in acting classes and all that stuff, I was working at the establishment that they came in 2001 and they shot an episode, and it was all based on that spot. So, and they asked me if I wanted, be a part of it, and I was just like, I'm a serious actor. I don't want to do this bit part, whatever. But now, being back in New York and being back in my old hood and shooting this stuff, and
Because you live on the West Coast now. You live in LA.
I do live in LA.
But you've talked about this before. You self-identify as a New Yorker.
I do.
And Sex and the City is a very New York series.
It is a very New York series, and what a great team of creative people, like the creator, Michael Patrick King. Like I said, I work with a lot of different directors, some of them unbelievable, but this guy knows exactly what he wants, so he's that great.
And I have a few questions to ask about you in this series. First of all, you said no to doing sex scenes?
No. They say no. I said yes.
You said yes to doing sex scenes.
I jumped up. No, I'm just kidding. No, I said they came in and said, it's called part nudity, right?
Oh.
And they send you that contract to see if you're okay. And so my first question is, how much are we talking about here? And it was just like, just having
You
a
won't
shirt
do
up.
it? You won't do it for the cause, man? You won't?
No, I would
You're not
do
an
it.
actor who would do anything, who would bare himself for the...
Oh God, that much ego. I don't know I possess that much ego or narcissism, but if it was, let's say, Darren Aronofsky doing a film that required for me, like, be naked for different reasons, but this just didn't feel right for me to...
You worried
to
it would be gratuitous?
Yeah, and also kind of cheap shot for me, and...
Dude,
but-
it's Sex in the City. It's in the title. I mean,
it is, and I was so listen. I have when I told the creators, I have never had sex scenes before in films or anything. he just looked at me like, well, you look old enough to be able to do that. But I was never offered, to be honest with you. I was never considered to be reading for parts like that, never alone working on it. So
Not good looking enough, maybe.
that, and then maybe where I come from, it has a lot to do with it.
Well, I kid, but I mean, you're obviously a famously good looking guy. So what was, I mean, we have more important things to talk about perhaps, but I'm curious how it was doing the sex scenes for you.
You know what? It is very uncomfortable in any shape or form you want to imagine it. But now there is, for the new reasons, there are sex coordinators on the set, and she comes and talks to you how you feel comfortable doing this, grabbing that, touching this, touching that, and then they bring in inflatable ball.
An inflatable ball.
Yeah, and they put it between you and your partner's private parts. So when you are actually moving, you're not touching each other.
You're touching the inflatable ball.
That's right. And you feel great about yourself, and that's it. They say cut.
And are you like? Do you wonder? Are you self-conscious in terms of watching the scene back or anything?
I was self-conscious because end up becoming partial nudity became no frontal nudity, but actually, back would be free. And that was interesting. I've never in this setting 60 people looking at you, wearing the socks in front, and just walking around the set. It felt really awkward.
Well, congratulations for conquering that fear.
Yay.
You've now done it. It's interesting. You play a guy. I've seen you in this series, and you play someone named Ravi Gordi,
right?
Who is not Iranian. He's a Parsi. He's Indian. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
Right,
No,
but it's curious. Obviously, in this height of identity politics these days, and sometimes too much so, in my opinion. But as an Iranian, I kind of think, well, why isn't Armin just cast as an Iranian? What was the story with that?
Well, I think one of the reasons is that, by the way, the actress that I play opposite, Sarita, is an old friend from New York. We lived with a neighbor. We lived in Lower East Side 20 years ago. And so she's lovely. She was in the Mississippi Masala.
Yeah, she's a very familiar face. I had to look her up because I was like, I've seen this person a lot.
Yeah, working with her was like working with a family. Really, like comfortable. We both were very comfortable, going to places. And
you play her
love
interest.
That's right. And I think there's a story in the backstory on the season 1 that the family would want her to be with someone from her own background. So I think there's that, and then there is also attractiveness of both. In that, for me, I grew up with a very strong woman figure in the house. My mom was a very strong person, and that strength is always very attractive to me, and so I'm very much drawn to that energy all the time. So she has that naturally, and her characters very much land that. So I'm playing a director, a Marvel, film director. Yeah.
And but okay, so that's the reason you're playing an Indian in this. By the way, do you have to do some kind of an affectation to be Indian? No. So what I did was that I spoke to them, and they were very cool with it. Was that, obviously the character has been living in Europe, and I lived in Europe, and I was very much aware of a lot of kids who were going to international schools, and so I said, well, let's give this guy that international air. And a little bit of an English accent, maybe?
A little bit of English accent.
Right.
It's not completely English. And some actually fans were like, this is not English. And I wasn't planning to, nor do I want to insult anybody doing English accent. But for me, it was a European kind of accent. And so, yeah.
He played very well. The suave director kind of guy. But maybe you're being a little modest here, or maybe I don't know if I don't want to out you, but in private conversations, you and I have talked about the fact that you don't think you would have been cast as a Middle Eastern character in a series like this, or that you don't see that happening as much.
I don't see that happening as much, for sure. And you're absolutely right. I didn't know where you were leading the conversation. If this is the conversation we had. And I vividly remember, yes, it is. I find it to be, look, I'm very lucky to be a part of this and something like this, but it doesn't come, the normalization of a Middle Eastern characters and actors and all that, it hasn't hit the mainstream America. They're here and there, people are working, and some of our Iranian-American, but I think there is still, when it comes to male actors, Middle Easterns, there is bias and there is limits, and you find your limits.
It's different for women.
I think so.
Meaning women are more likely to get cast these days. A Middle Eastern woman as a Middle Eastern woman.
As they should.
As they should, of course. But and we can think of Golshifteh, Nazanin Boniadi, your partner Nikhar, those kind of
there's
people
so many great
who play Middle Eastern people, even or even Iranian in some cases.
I do, yeah.
And you think that's not you think there's a distinction around gender where male Iranians are less likely to be cast in non-stereotypical roles. Yeah. They will be cast as the terrorists still.
They will be cast as terrorists, or like, listen, I get a lot of stuff coming my way these days, from TVs and films and all that, and the majority that it comes, right? And don't, people are trying to make a living and make art, whatever they want to call it, but it's CIA operative, works with Sepah Pasdaran. He's a spy, and once in a while you get a doctor, but a normal human being that lives among ourselves. There's not that many great stories, that are written for an Iranian male. They like to point finger. They like to keep us as a scarecrow, because look, once you normalize us, then who are we fighting against?
Oh, I see. You think we need to continue to be the enemy.
Absolutely.
It's just interesting to me because there's so much awareness seemingly now about Muslims and, Islamophobia, they call it, and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of support for the Palestinian cause. You'd think that would translate into enthusiasm for Middle Eastern characters or something like that. Maybe it doesn't translate into enthusiasm for Iranians. I don't know.
No, I think it has changed a lot from the time that I started, which was 25 years ago, and the stuff that I was reading for. Most of them were Cuban or Italians and this and that in New York, to then switching that be on demand for a lot of terrorist roles and TV series that were being made. And that's why I went towards designing and creating my own stuff, because that's not why I went to school. I wanted to become an actor, and then that period shifted. And I think right now we're in a very interesting place, which is called open ethnicity time, right? For you get every audition at the bottom of it, or reading or casting sense stuff is open ethnicity. So I'm reading for stuff that
What does that mean? Sorry.
Like anybody's, it's not like it has to be a white person.
I see.
Person.
Okay. Yeah.
Anybody could read, and that.
Did they actually mean that, or did they put that there to be politically correct, to not get called out?
I think you're somewhere in the 60% of where you at. You're absolutely right about that. And also, yes, you do waste time and you memorize stuff and you get in front of them and da-da-da-da. But at the end of the day, if they already had what they had in mind, this is just a formality, right? But having said that, I am reading for stuff that I was never able to read before. I am meeting with people considering me for roles, even Sex and the City, and that I would never had that chance before. So yeah, things are changing slowly.
But, and I would probably, on some level, I might even be offended if somebody said this who was a non-Iranian, like, well, you don't look Iranian, because I'd be like, well, what does an Iranian look like? Do we all have to look like a mullah or something? Right. But I can say this to you, I feel, with impunity. You don't necessarily look like an Iranian. I mean, I joked about Alec Baldwin before. You could totally play an Italian. You could play, I don't know, a Latino guy or whatever. So do you, if at the casting moment where they say, yeah, we want you to play an Italian guy, I mean, do you have the leverage as an actor these days to say, actually, I'm Iranian, can we make the character Iranian, or is that overstepping?
No, it's not. I really, listen, as long as they're not damaging our culture, as long as they're not putting us in a position that we have to somehow, defend ourselves in the script, in the writing, I'm totally cool with anybody playing anybody. Look, for God's sake, what was his name? Rosewater. It was the actor, the Mexican gentleman.
Javier Bardem?
No. He's, anyhow, it will come to me in a second.
Rosewater. Gabriel
Garcia
Bernal.
Great actor. And he played the Iranian guy, right?
Yeah.
You feel a little bit like, okay, because look, this is the deal. I got casted to play a Puerto Rican detective in American Gangster with Denzel. And so at that time, coming off like doing movies like Factory Girl, this was the biggest thing could have happened to me, right?
Sure.
So I'm like overly excited. And 2 days beforehand, they dropped me from the film. And my agent says the reason is because Puerto Rican or Latin, communities, they have this, guideline. This was a real detective. He was Puerto Rican, should be played by a Puerto Rican. So I lost it, but but there was no such a protection.
I don't feel like I don't like that. It's funny because I don't like that, but at the same time, I have been annoyed. I mean, it's gotten a lot better, but annoyed that Iranians don't get cast, even as Iranians. Like the Prince of Persia was Jake Gyllenhaal.
That's right.
It's right. The Prince of Persia. And so, what was the film the famous film that I've always railed against? Is there's a film you probably remember it because you're of a similar vintage. A film called Not Without My Daughter.
Yes,
the Sally Field film. That was an incredibly racist film, to be honest. But that was about Iran. It's based on a true story, quote unquote, but taken out of context, it really, and for Middle America, it was like, oh, Iranians are bad people. Anyway, not only is it this like extremely aggressively ideological film about this poor American woman that goes to Iran and then everybody's yelling at her and they're all horrible barbarians and everything, but all the Iranian characters, the lead characters in the film, are not played by Iranians. They're like Indian guys and stuff. Right. So it was kind of like the fact that we haven't moved entirely past that is bothersome. But at the same time, I think if you're a great actor, why shouldn't you be able to play a Puerto Rican? Why shouldn't you? Why? Maybe John Leguizamo would disagree. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you to a certain degree. If he's not I was in the film called September of Shiraz, and you had Salma Hayek playing Iranian woman, and you had Adrian Brody playing my brother who was Iranian. So come on, man. Come on.
Right.
And then, look, if I was going to play, I'm going to be honest. If they give me an opportunity to play Che Guevara or Fidel Castro, you bet you everything that I have, I will learn a couple of poetries. I will learn what his favorite food was. Right. I have to get into it. That's a responsibility. But I don't think they do that. Will
you play a stereotypical terrorist?
Would I play?
Yeah.
No.
Yes, you would. If Tom Cruise,
right?
If there's Top Gun 3,
right?
$1 billion film, and you're gonna have a major role, but you're gonna play a really fucking awful Iranian stereotypical terrorist.
Yes.
Do you take the gig?
Oh, man, I need the money, but I got to tell you, though, probably not. I just recently actually had a meeting with a production that he's involved with. And it's amazing how everything is so secretive and all that. But probably not. I haven't done it so far. I'm too old to change.
You've been offered the big gigs. Did you do that? And you
big gigs
because we have friends that we both know and love, Iranian actors who have played those roles.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if you sit with them and ask them questions, they have probably great reasoning for doing the things that they do. I'm not here to judge anybody. For me, it's about the process of the art is about healing, right? So if the artist, whether it's a painter or musician or actor, really get together with the instrument in the most authentic way, the result of it is something that has a life of its own and is not being controlled by the artist. Once that happens, there's no price on it. And so if that is not coming into what I am doing and I'm just going to do it for money, I'll do it, and probably you would interview me again and everybody else will say, oh my God, you're in Tom Cruise's film, and we're all going to clap for me. But some people would, and you know what I mean?
I might say, how do you feel about playing this character? But you would make a bunch of money. You would get your star level would go to the next level. And so then you would get to do projects you want, presumably. I mean, that's the...
I'd be honest with you. Tom Cruise is so good, and the way he puts together the stories and stuff, I think he would be watching that closely and not letting it happen, because we don't see that many stereotypical stuff that happens with.
How did I miss the movie where Salma Hayek was an Iranian?
That's September Shiraz.
Okay.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
How did
Don't
that
worry.
go? How does it,
I mean, I don't
was
know.
she believable as a? Did she learn some Persian or?
No, she was not. You know,
Okay.
she was not like, you know, a Persian. You know, I didn't think so. I don't think it was the right part, but it was the time that it was still okay to do, you know, play Iranians if you're not, and it still is okay. People do it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you act in Persian, are you a different person? Do you have to draw from a different skill set from when you act in English?
Very interesting question. Wow. Wow. Okay, then in that case, I would say acting in Farsi, in Iranian film, it feels more right. It feels more like pukhte. It feels like it's there, and I have access to it, and I could improvise. I could do anything. I could do the same thing in English, but it's different. You absolutely. I don't know.
So
I have
interesting.
to
So
think
even
about
though
that.
you've spent 4/5 of your life, most of your life outside of Iran, in America, that you still feel somehow more authentic
Yeah, I still feel like that
in Persian.
in Farsi. Yeah.
You're here in Toronto partly because there's a new film called The Last Act,
Yes.
directed by Shahab Hosseini.
Yes.
You're in the cast.
Yes.
So there's an example where it just comes easier for you working on a project like that.
Well,
than
this is all in English. This is American.
you're working with Persians.
Yes, and so speaking to getting directions from Shahab was obviously in Farsi, and it felt really good. I have to say, I loved it. You know, there's a part of me that yearns and is always going to have that whole, what if I would have been in Iran, and what if I was an actor like my friends are? They go back to their home and they work, and then they come here to do stuff, but that's their...
And that option's not available to you
No.
for
it's not.
political reasons, or because you just
No.
wouldn't want to go there.
I mean, for the longest time, I didn't go see my mom because she
Yeah.
didn't want me to. And now that she's gone, what's the point, you know? And that's what keeps coming up for me. Like, what am I going to do there? And I don't know. There's a part of it that's very appealing. I would love to go, and I would love to work there.
Tell us about The Last Act.
The Last Act was a very interesting project. I've worked with Shahab Hosseini before. We did the horror film called The Night, and he called me out of nowhere. He's like, "Hey, I'm in town. I want to shoot this film, and there's this part." And I was just like, "Okay." And
He lives part-time in LA, right? Or does
he
he?
comes
or
and
he's,
goes.
He's back and forth to
He's
Iran?
back and forth. Yeah, he does, like, you know, does movies outside of Iran, and you know, he comes here quite often. And he reached out and was like, "Hey, where you know, come, let's read this thing." So me and the actors and him, we got together, you know, table read, and 48 hours later, we were actually shooting this film. So it's based on a play, and I play this character who is now working with a new revolutionary system, but nevertheless, he comes from the father who was very open-minded. But what he does see, which I see in America, is the homelessness and people that, you know, live there. So he comes from that kind of a Che Guevara background, and then he faces this character who's a writer, and he's on the run. So we're here to get him. So it's a very it's a play. It's lovely.
There feels like, you know, the Toronto International Film Festival, TIFF, just finished here in Toronto. There were a couple of big films. 7 Days, a film directed by Ali Samidi, a film called The Seed and the Sacred Fig, directed by Mohammed Rasulullah. Both films, interestingly, not the old kind of Kiarostami type allegorical, you know, film, but these are actually films that are delving into the politics of the day and activism and all type of thing. It feels like, I would say, based on what's happened at Cannes in the last couple of years, feels like there's a new momentum for, I don't know if I would say for Iranian films or films made and produced and created by Iranians.
Yes.
Do you think that's true?
Definitely. Comparing to what it was, I mean, God bless. It's like films coming out from everywhere. And that just shows that we've been at this shamanic experiences and the healing experiences through storytelling. And so this is part of our fabric. So people are always noticed, I think, Iranian storytelling. Even our poetry is very cinematic, Shahnameh and what have you. So yeah, I find it to be amazing.
But it feels like there was the new wave.
Yeah.
The sort of Kiarostami, Jafar Panahi, Mahmoud Baf, those guys.
Right.
And then it was fallow for a while. Then it fell off.
Yeah.
And now it feels like there's a new energy.
It is. I actually went to see one of my favorite Iranian films that I've seen recently. It's called Land of Brothers, and is about the problems that Afghan refugees have in Iran. And it was gorgeously done in 3 different parts.
I'm glad somebody's making a film about that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love Afghans. In the refugee camp, most of my friends were actually Afghans. There were like 2 different rooms, and Afghans are lovely people.
What's it called? Land of Brothers?
Land of Brothers.
I feel like there's a film already. Isn't there a film called Land of Brothers?
There was one called The Brothers.
Or Band of Brothers.
Band of Brothers.
You changed the consonant. You have a new project.
Yes.
Called Mango.
Yes.
This is a film that you're going to direct and star in.
I'm starring in it.
And it's kind of based on a true story. And Mango, this won my heart just hearing about this because I have a French bulldog.
Yes.
And this is about a bulldog.
A bulldog, yeah.
What's the story?
In a very quick setting, basically based on a true story, I've layered Vertigo, Hitchcockian sort of a style into it, set in San Francisco, based on an immigrant who has come here to see his son, and his son has OD'd from fentanyl like 2 days before. He never gets to see him, and then he has to work in skyscraper and cleaning and all that stuff, and he comes across this dog that was abandoned outside in the rain. And so they start having this unbelievable relationship between the two, and he names him Mango after giving him a little mango and all that stuff. And then he has an immigration issue, and the immigration issue
Sorry, this is based on you, right?
I did, yeah.
Was your dog actually named Mango?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you really saw him just on the street or something?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. The Mango was actually, I adopted Mango, but not in the story of setting. But this is kind of like I'm trying to lift it to the imagination, right? And basically, he has to give the dog to someone to look after while he's going to take care of his immigration status, different city. And the guy who is looking after the dog basically kidnaps the dog, and his journey to find him. And at one point wants to be violent with him, and then he gets arrested. And so it's a very, the reason also I want to tell this story is that I know people have been in the system in America for 35 years, and they have no legal status whatsoever. So for me, I spent 18 years without a legal status in America, so I know how it is to live underground, and so this is kind of a tribute to that, and also to Mango, and very interesting after what Trump says that the Haitians are eating pets and dogs.
They're eating the dogs.
Dogs, exactly. Yeah. So I want to show that, hey, listen, we also could love the dog as well.
I can't wait for Mango. It sounds like a film sounds like it might be a bit of a tearjerker.
Yeah.
I'll probably get emotional. I'm like that with dogs.
The dogs, same here.
You mentioned Trump.
Yes.
The perfect segue, because I was going to go there before we end. I mean, you're an American. You live in America. How are you feeling about your country? Meaning, I'll ask you about Iran in a moment, but how are you feeling about the States?
God, I don't feel great. Look, I'm privileged to have come and used and being gifted this opportunity to do what I want to do in this country, or I mean not here, but in America. Mm-hmm. But what America supports, and I'm becoming more deep. Look, listen, I gave up not seeing my mom for many years and escaped Iran when I was 13, all because of love of America and the land of America.
Yeah.
And, I was sold the idea pretty hardcore. Michael Jackson, that's right.
Story, yeah.
And so when you come here and then you realize, oh my God, so it wasn't all that. And so maybe the most important things that you have left behind were the most important things. And so I'm not, state of America. I don't care who's going to become president.
You don't?
At this point right now.
You really don't care?
I mean, does it make a difference whether I do or not? Besides this conversation that me and you are having.
Where do you? Well, probably not in California because it's baked in California, right? No, it's a Democrat.
Yeah,
it's a Democratic state, so Kamala Harris would probably win California. So your vote wouldn't necessarily count.
It'd be amazing to have a woman be a president of the United States. I
A woman of color. Yeah, I mean,
policies will change. I don't think so.
The policies of the Biden administration have not been great for Iran, I would argue.
Or Middle East altogether.
Or the Middle East altogether. Yeah. But I mean, certainly when we were very frustrated all that time when you were on the show during the height of the Mahsa Amini protests and we felt like we were getting nothing from the American administration in terms of any kind of recognition, support. Biden threw that garden party for Nowruz in the middle of kids being killed in the streets. So on the one hand, I feel like well, Kamala Harris would surely just be continue. I'm sympathetic to those who say, well, this would be they'd just be trying to go back to the JCPOA and trying to go back to but at the same time, I mean, Trump is. Who even knows? I mean, there's people who argue that Trump would be better for Iran, but who knows what Trump would do?
What's going to happen if Trump becomes a president? What's going to happen to the women in America? Their rights are going to be, as already he has appointed this judges that all this changes and Roe v. versus hey, it's just what do you do? I find it to be listen, we could say what we want to say. He'll
stop the immigrants from eating dogs, though.
That he will do that for sure. He will do that he really cares for the dogs and cats, obviously. Yeah.
He's obsessed with dogs. His insults.
Dog, you're a dog.
He always says dog. He always says they kicked him out like a dog. It's always something to do with a dog, and now it's
he sees dogs as the lowest form, which he doesn't realize they're actually in the highest form.
100%.
They're in the highest form. That's right. So I think that there's certain things that American government is doing where there's a market. I think the market is run by algorithm now and just dark pools and everything's going through that. So I think Democrats are very much helping that saga for big cats get bigger and fatter and all that stuff. So that's one thing that I have an issue with Democrats. That's one of the very very things that I have. But it's going to be so great for women and gay rights and all that stuff. I don't know. Trump has some points. He makes some interesting points. He's out of his mind, but his policy. The thing is that you're never going to know he's going to stick. You're
losing some of the Alec Baldwins. He's such a Democrat. Yeah. That
I'm an independent more. Yeah. I think I would like to be in a situation that is a little bit more socialist. That I feel like that you guys do pretty well here. Just taking care of people a little bit. We don't have to pocket that much money. It's okay to spread it around.
How do you feel about Iran? I always think about you on Zoom, but in the middle of the Mahsa Amini protest, we did an interview and you were crying.
I was angry.
Yeah, you were really upset.
Yeah.
I think you were upset at that time about how the world wasn't really listening and New York Times and stuff, but I mean, you were very emotional.
I was.
Where are you at now?
Look, I've experienced trauma leaving Iran and experiencing revolution, war, and then refugee. And so I'm the first hand. I am the byproduct of politics altogether. I want to run away from it as much as possible, but I was born into it, right? As far as how it has affected my life. And when that moment was happening, my mom also was from Saqqez, same place that Mahsa Amini, God bless her soul, was killed. And so it was a very important thing. I just lost my mom, and that happened. So it really hit home for me. It's like these innocent people, just for not wearing their hijab or what have you, they should not be treated this way. We're writing a song. I still hardcore believe that. A lot of people ask me why you're not a little bit more, getting out there. I think I made my point at age 13 years old that I don't like this, and I'm rather to go through not seeing my family, go to the refugee camp, come to America, what have you, but I'm going to do it on my terms. So I think I've already spoken my piece in a sense of like what I think. I think Iran deserves so much more. I think Iran deserves more than any candidate that is out here and any candidate in Iran. They have so many brilliant minds in Iran that we have not met, that they should be the leaders of that country. And so that's my...
Sorry, I'm trying to get my head around it. You're saying you spoke your piece because you left Iran as a teenager?
As a political point of view, yeah. It's like, something didn't feel right for me. I was living in Iran and being in that kind of a torture of society pressure.
That I see. You rejected it, and you didn't come because your family was all moving into a rich house in Beverly Hills. You left clearly of your own volition, and
that's right.
Yeah.
And I feel like that has given me this place of like, listen, sometimes you live by example. You could become an example to people that want to do things, or you could sit there and talk rhetorics and tell people, go on the streets and do this and do that, and the young people will get killed in Iran. And how do you feel about yourself sitting your butt right here on the seat and telling other people to go and fight? So I feel like that if you're in it, then you're in it. If you're not in it, then you should keep some of those opinions somehow to yourself. That's what I think.
It's really... nice to have you here in person. There's a company making a documentary about your life?
We're in talks, that's right. And let's see. I mean, I don't know.
Which part of your life? The refugee part, the famous actor, the doorman in New York?
All of it, all three.
I want the middle one.
Me too. The good
I want the stories. What was going on in New York when you were attending the doors?
Look, listen, I one night Bill Clinton came in. And we had a great conversation. She was talking to me for a long time.
To where? To
Bungalow.
Which was the club that you were...
Yeah, I ran and sort of I was the guy. It basically made your night, or, just says you...
Was Bungalow on...
27th Street.
It's sort of below Midtown.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was nice, the art district, sort of, galleries. And he said to me, he says... Well, first of all, he remembered my name after 2 hours of walking around and talking and connecting to everyone.
So wait a second. Are you at the door when Bill Clinton comes in? And you obviously...
Bush's daughters used to come, and I used to ask him I need help for my green card. I was asking everybody, can he help me with my green card? Bill actually introduced me to Hillary. Hillary introduced me to Homa Abedin. And then that was the end. I know. Wow,
all the characters. So sorry. I mean, this is probably Doorman 101. But you probably have some rules around who you let in and who you don't let in.
Yes.
There's a list, but even so,
Absolutely.
And I'm guessing somebody who's... So when Bill Clinton comes, you know who he is. Yeah. Nobody has to give you the green light. You know that Bill gets in.
You do get a heads up that Bill is coming. He's not just showing up on his own. People like him, like someone knows, someone else a text and say, hey, Mick Jagger is coming or Bill Clinton.
Okay.
And he came in and we connected and had a conversation. We talked about Margaret Thatcher, and he was talking about my friend Margaret Thatcher. Talked a lot about Iran, and on the way out, he was like, Armin, it was lovely to meet you. I was like, oh my God, he remembers my name.
That devil.
Yeah.
That's why he was Bill Clinton, right?
And so I shook his hand, and he goes I forgot to tell you something. I said, what? He says, I always wanted to be a doorman. I said, what? He said, so what do you mean? He goes, I always want to be a doorman at the Plaza Hotel. I said, why? He says, because I always wanted to meat all the famous people. So, well, I guess...
Yeah, you accomplished that by being a two-term president.
That's right.
And a somewhat notorious figure. What was Hillary with him?
In a couple of occasions, yes.
This was more than once you saw him.
Yeah. Bill Clinton, I think, came in 3 times for Christmas party, and there was another thing, yeah.
And was did Jagger actually come, or was that you just throwing
No, Jagger used to come in. Look, listen, what was interesting about this place was that you could only fit in 175 people, max, right? And then on any given night, you had everybody in there. I mean, everybody from Puffies of this world to Weinsteins of this world to Jagger and all the fashion people. So it was a very interesting. It was like a box of chocolate. You never.
And how did you get that gig? Because you're not you're not a small guy, but you're not like a bodybuilder or something, right? No, you're not one of those doormen. You're a good-looking guy, so they probably want somebody handsome in the front.
Yes.
But did you have to be a tough guy too, or you had a guy with you?
No, I had, at the beginning, she thought I could just handle it on my own, and so we had no cameras at the time, if you remember. On 27th Street and 10th Avenue in the West Side Highway, there was just wind, and that was it. And it was us that says no vacancy with neon. And look, I think the refugee camp experiences came really handy to handle myself. But at one point, we had to get a lot of security to help me with it. I've got into it. The way I met Mickey Rourke was like I was right in the middle of a thing with Puffy. He was throwing his weight around. Yeah.
You had a dispute with Puffy.
Yeah.
Puff Daddy.
Yeah.
Well, I think now historically you've won that dispute.
No, but
based on what's happened to him.
No, but he was just being totally rude and obnoxious, and stood up.
Who was the worst?
Worse than what?
Who was just the worst to deal with? The worst, famous person.
The worst people to deal with are fashion people.
Okay.
So they come in, they're as flaky as they come. They're only loyal to you for a couple of weeks or whatever. You're hot in that fashion week, and they're up to next. So to me, those are the worst, like sort of the type of people to deal with. But real New Yorkers and like real regulars, and who I really like is that actually the people who work in the industry, they go out on Monday nights. So Monday nights were my favorite night to go out because everybody was cool. Yeah, there was nobody was trying to throw around their credit cards and saying,
Right.
Mark Cuban, I had a situation with this last time. So they used
You had a situation with him.
Well, I mean, he was throwing his money around.
Yeah.
In the front.
Well, he's a billionaire.
Yeah, but literally had cash thrown in. And then I said no. And then, the papers wrote about it. And, it was not somebody was at the door.
Wow.
And then he came back. And he says, "Can I come in?" And I said, "Sure." And I opened the robe, and he goes in. And as he goes in, I tapped on his back. I said, "Do you still have that $1,000?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "Now's the time to give it to me, not in front of people trying to throw your money at." And he gave me the $1,000 cash.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you, Mark.
All right.
Yeah.
The documentary about your life, if it probably doesn't have a title yet, right?
It does.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
What would the title of a documentary about Armin Amiri be?
Bouncer. Not the bouncer in a thing. Someone who's been bouncing around the world.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
And do you feel like that?
I do.
You're a bouncer.
Oh, absolutely, I'm a
Meaning
bouncer.
you don't feel like you have settled anywhere now?
No.
Wow.
I mean, where your heart's at, right? So, I mean, obviously, people that you love, the relationships that you're in make you feel like you're home, right? But as far as a home base goes, like Los Angeles stuff doesn't feel like, a place that I want to live there for the rest of my life. I always have this love affair with New York, so I always see myself. New York is a great place for people as they get older. You don't have to do much. You just get out of your house. You go to buy the papers and you
get a small apartment. Yeah, everything's there.
Yeah.
I got you. It's so expensive though.
It is.
Yeah. It's such a pleasure, brother.
Pleasure.
It's so nice to have you here in Toronto.
Same.
I can feel how excited Toronto is. Toronto got that much more exciting for you to be here for a few hours.
Yeah, I've been a big fan, as you know, for many years, and so this is an honor to sit with you and we have this conversation. It means a lot.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Congratulations on all the projects.
Thank you, sir.
We'll watch you in and just
like that.
and just like that, and we will watch you in the last act, and we will wait for Mango and the documentary. And
merci.
Thank you so much, Armin Amiri. Well, if you are an Iranian-Canadian who's into style, fashion, design, fancy pop-up events, you may surely have heard of Divan by now. That is, even though the events agency has actually only thrown less than 10 events in total. They are all the rage, and as they say, behind every Divan event is a team of 4 young business-minded women with a background in marketing, event planning, and fashion. Divan began in Vancouver and has now come to Toronto for the first time, and a couple of the Divan co-founders are with me in the Roqe studio. She is also the founder of Little Angels, an event planning company that was based in Tehran and Vancouver, and the executive manager at Divan Events. She was born and raised in Tehran, studied genetics in the UK. Hello to you, Mona Hassanzadeh.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Jian.
Nice to have you here.
Nice to be here.
And our returning champion, who who's been on the show a couple of times. He is a popular Iranian-Canadian fashion blogger who set out to shine a light on independent fashion designers and stylists in Iran. Became one of the first Persian fashion bloggers in the world. Her fashion sandwich platform was wildly successful, turned her into a social media influencer and fashion world name in the Persian community. Hello to you again, Bahar Eslami.
Hi, Jian. Good to see you here.
Nice to finally have you in Toronto. Finally. I said I think you were avoiding Toronto or something. What happened?
I don't know. We got stuck in Vancouver.
Vancouver's beautiful, but you need to get out once in a while. In fact, you guys I think you were supposed to come as Divan a few times to Toronto, right?
Yes.
And you sort of booked it and then you delayed and booked it. Tell me why.
Okay, because we are very perfectionist and we wanted to come in a right time so that everything looks perfect. So we decided to come to Toronto in June, but we thought that it's better to get more prepared for this event because this is our first event outside of Vancouver. So we felt that we were not ready by that time. So we postponed it. And yeah.
I love the patience for a young company. I mean, you could just come and say, well, let's do it anyway. But you really wanted to are all four of you OCD, Mona? Or
Yeah.
how do four?
Yeah, but it's like in different like levels. Yeah.
So, for example, Bahar.
So less.
Oh, you're less.
Yeah.
You're less OCD.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's the worst?
Tanas,
Yeah.
Tanas.
Mona.
Mona, I'm super OCD, so I relate to it. I like it.
Yeah.
So, for example, you want everything to be perfect when the event happens.
Yeah, actually, and yeah, we have some like idea about coming to another cities. Like we want to like prepare everything. So, and that's our first time like out of Vancouver. So, we really need time to do that. So that's the thing that we just postpone it to another time. So we think that we were not ready in that time. So that's the only thing.
It's pretty audacious to event plan in a city that isn't your city, right?
Exactly.
Like I'm imagining in Vancouver at this point, not that it's ever easy, you want the event to be perfect, but it's your home city now. You know the people there, you know how to promote, you know the venues, so it's kind of, there's a safety there.
Exactly.
What was the impetus to even say, let's try this in another city?
So this is how we just want to like grow our like company. So we just want to share like the thing that we just do in Vancouver, so to another cities in Canada. So the first choice is Toronto because that's a very big community of Iranian designers and fashion designers. So we probably think about Toronto at first and then other cities next.
And the idea is to do then Berlin and Sydney and Stockholm and Divan.
Let's keep it surprise. Our partners told us that, Tanas and Hasti told us that don't blow the surprises.
Oh, I see.
Keep it
I see.
surprise. But we have lots of ambitious plans in mind. So
It seems so. By the way, I love, okay, so you two are co-founders, are all four of you
All
co-founders?
four, yes.
Okay. And I love the branding of the four of you. I mean, the kind of videos that you shoot and stuff, it kind of almost looks like a band. Like you look like the Beatles or the Spice Girls or something. Like it looks like a lot of fun to be part of this team. How did you, the obvious question, how did you find each other?
Okay, it's a really funny story since I found Tanas via Instagram. So I had something in Iran that I wanted to be shipped to me. So I put an ad on my page that anyone coming from Iran to Vancouver, it was like 4 years ago. So I saw that some cute girl wrote me that, oh, Bahar, I'm like coming to Vancouver. If you have something very
I'll bring your
light."
shoes.
Yeah.
what was it? Can you tell us what?
It was a blouse.
Oh, okay.
It was really light, and she emphasized that it shouldn't be heavy. I was like, okay, it's okay, and it's very light. So she brought it, and she texted me that, Bahar, let's meet up and like have a coffee. And by that time, my parents were in Vancouver, so I was really busy. I was like, Tana Jun, thank you so much. If you just like drop it off at my lobby, that would be great. And Tana said, no, let's meet each other. And I was like,
Now, and you didn't know who she was.
No,
but she
it was a
probably
follower
knew
on a
she was
page.
following you.
Yeah,
All right.
she was,
Okay.
And then me and my
How did you know she wasn't a
parents-
crazy person?
Just I trust my gut. That's all. So me and my dad and my mom were sitting in a restaurant having lunch, and Tana's called, and I said, Tana Jun, you can come here and join us for coffee
Right.
as well. So she came, and I was like, wow, such a like beautiful, stylish lady. And she sat and she said, I have a kid. I was like, wow, you have a kid, because you look like a kid yourself. She's really young. And she started talking about her background in marketing. So she had worked in big companies in Iran in their marketing department.
Nice.
So she said that I'm new here, and I just had my first kid, and hopefully from this year I'm gonna start working. And then we started to hang out with each other. And once when we were at a coffee shop, she said, Bahar, let's do something with the idea of gathering all the small businesses together. And since I was doing this in Iran too, under the name of InStyle Event, so I said, Tana's, this is really
Right.
interesting here in Vancouver, because Vancouver, I mean, I can't say they didn't have such events, but they didn't have such community, because we think that we are building a community,
Right.
not like only having an event.
Right.
So we started to think about it, and
And then you were like, we need a drummer and a bass player. Who are the other two
Exactly.
members?
Yeah. And I said, Tana said, do you know anyone here in the field of event planning and executive in events? I said, oh, I know 2 girls that they have Little Angels group in Iran. They were really famous. So they just moved here. Let me text them. And I just sent them a direct message. And
This is like 4 years ago or something?
yeah, 4 years ago. And by that time I saw
You
that
got the blouse, by the way.
Yes, I got
Just
the
making sure. Yeah.
safe and sound. And then I saw, when I went to text them, I saw that they texted me several times, and I didn't see the text. And this way I started to texting them on direct message, and I said, girls, let's meet up. And we just got together, and we started to build this
So you already knew Mona
from Iran.
from
yeah.
Iran. And
Yeah,
Little
past years.
Little Angels, it's an events planning company for kids or
No, it's not just for kids. It's for also wedding plan. We are just doing wedding planning, like parties, corporate events.
I thought Little
yeah.
Angels meant little-
Yeah,
Is that-
that was the name. Like, yeah, but there is nothing about just kids. So it's all.
And how did you know each other from Iran? Or
we
does
had
everybody,
one-
just the cool people, just know each other?
No, we had one mutual event in Tehran, in Som Center, at Som Center. So we had InStyle event planning. These girls have had Little Angels. So we had one mutual project. But the most interaction that we had was just, Salam Mona Jun, Salam Hasti Jun, Salam Bahar Jun, good to see you, bye. So that's it.
Yeah.
And then several years after.
So the 4 of you get together in Vancouver,
Yeah.
like for a chai or something, or you have a
for a chai.
kebab
Not kebab, no.
Let's go
but
for a chai.
Chai.
at
for a
a coffee
chai.
shop.
Okay.
And then
And the energy is there.
Yes.
Mona, you hear about this idea and you say what?
Yeah, I just said, so that's a really interesting thing. So when me and Hasid, both of us, so we decided to join them. So we just share ideas. We started like a bling. So
Yeah.
just, yeah.
What
it
about
was
the
like-
name? Divan, when does that?
Tanas came up with
Tanas
it.
came
up.
So, yeah, Tanas said that I want something to bring up Farsi culture, Persian culture, as well as we loved Divan restaurant in Iran. There's a famous restaurant named Divan. So Tanas got inspired by the name, and then we brought it to our team.
And how do you? Is it a democracy between the four of you? Is it more like Iran, where there's one dictator and? No, I mean, who's sort of how do you organize this now?
Actually, it's
Honestly, Roqe, you know.
Roqe. We do some giso giskeshi sometimes. To be honest, it's just like on Goriz Napazire with like 4 ladies at one place, but it's really like it's not a lot. I mean, we get along very good together, very good. Like Mona is the most patient person in our team. Tanaz is more exciting and she's more exciting.
You mean Hasti?
Hasti and Tanaz, yeah.
And what are
emotional. Tanaz more emotional, Hasti more excited. I am combination of Tanaz and Hasti.
How is Tanaz going to be feel about being characterized as emotional? Is she okay with that?
Yeah, because she's really. I mean, to my mind, she's one of the most important founders of Divan, because she do organize everything, and us 3, I think that we're not really organized. We're more creative, but not organized. But Tanaz.
Well, apparently you're kind of messy because she's OCD.
I am super messy.
You're super. I don't. How do you have to be patient with this person?
She doesn't have any other choice.
Are you organizationally messy too?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing because you're also like I always admire you so much for what you built. In terms of your personal story, the first time you were on Roqe, we went through your story, which was, to be fair, quite a harrowing one of how you become this famous fashion blogger in Iran, and Mona, you probably would have known of Bahar at that time, and then of course you're kind of you're in crosshairs with the leaders of the government there, and so you end up having to leave, and there's a lot of drama. You have to close down your site. You have to rebuild from scratch. Does that seem like another world now that you seem like you're sort of Bahar back on top more than ever?
Actually, Jian, I just remember the day that I had interview with you.
Yeah.
So Bahar by that time and Bahar today is completely different. I mean, by that time, in business, I was like, I kind of lost everything because of the things that happened to me in Iran. And right now, I'm not in the place that I want to be. Still, there's a long path, but I think that I could be a bit successful in what I had in mind, but by that day, to build for myself. And I did it completely alone and from scratch. So all my family members are back home. So all the circle of friends and partners like Mona and Hasti and Tanaz that I have right now, I made it from scratch.
Wow.
So, all my life was made from scratch in Vancouver.
By the way, if you're hearing a funny noise, it's because Bahar keeps hitting the desk. Because Mona, who's more OCD, is not doing that at all. But that's the. How do you feel you've changed? When you say it's a different Bahar, how would you say that you're a different person today from who you were 4 years ago?
Jian, pain will bring gain. Wow, I made it myself. I made this.
Not always.
No.
Not always. Sometimes you know.
If you see the positive parts of it, if you be positive, I think you could stand on your feet again. And I think that whenever you fell down and you get up, you become a stronger person. So I went through a lot, but this pains that I've been through made me stronger person.
Yeah.
And I got believe in myself that if you take me anywhere in this world. I believe that I can build my own life. So this is the most important thing that life taught me during these 4 years.
And I would imagine that you also probably feel stronger in terms of dealing with anyone who has anything critical to say about you. You know, you put yourself out there. You always have. I'm going to ask you about that later. But in terms of just, you know, you live your life on social media to a certain extent. People get to see you that way and know you that way. Do you have a different reaction to somebody taking a shot at you or even being fuzul or something in social media today than you would have 10 years ago?
Of course, comparing to 10 years ago, I try to act more mature. Like when someone comes to me and write me hateful things, I try to even go to the direct message and send them private message that what's up? I mean, what did I do wrong that you're reacting like this? If she talk politely, I go along and make a conversation and try to convince them that okay, this mindset about me is wrong. Just you can give me more chance to know me more. But if they start bullying and starting impolite conversations, I prefer to remove them from my profile because I think that this job.
And you wouldn't have done that before?
Before, I didn't go and talk to them. I just quickly removing them. But right now, I want to hear that, and there's many people that coming to me and writing that, Bahar, we apologize. We judged you a year ago, or when we see you in person, we understood that our mindset was wrong, or by that time that we gave you hate speeches. Right now we know that it's judgmental.
And how do people judge you? What's the thing that they get wrong about Bahar Eslami?
The most thing is that they think that I'm superficial, right?
Superficial, yeah.
Superficial, yeah.
Superficient is a cool word, though. It's mixing it with efficient, which would be
superficial.
Superficial, yeah.
Thank you for correcting me. Yeah, they thought that they think that I'm superficial, but it's not like this. I'm not a girl just buying clothes and shoes and bags and stuff. No, there's more about me than all the appearance and fashion and stuff. And I tried in my Instagram page, which is Bahar Eslami Journal, I tried to show my deep aspects of my life as well. I started to bringing psychologists, life coaches and stuff to live sessions. We had tons of live sessions with them on my page. I started to introduce books, podcasts and stuff on my social media. I'm trying more and more to show my other aspects rather than fashion.
Did you ever consider when all the stuff happened and with the regime and you came and you and I remember your dad was really supportive and did you ever think, was it ever an option to say, I'm done, I'll go do something that is quieter, I'll just be a designer, I'll do something that doesn't put myself out there so that I risk going through all this kind of stuff again?
No, I don't have regrets by continuing my job because this is my passion.
No, you don't regret it now. But did you ever think maybe I shouldn't come back to all this? Or was it always clear to you were going to jump back in?
No, I love my job. I love what I do. And I love that I came out of country and started this job. I mean, it's not the side effect of the things that I went through in Iran, but maybe with my age going up, I'm feeling that I want to be more quiet and a bit low profile. So
That's why you started Divan and you're going to different cities.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So right now my most time and energy is spent on Divan because I really want to see it grow, and I really want to see a day that I just use my page for my this business, for Divan. So because of age going up, I feel I want to be quieter.
Second time you've mentioned age.
I know.
You're thinking about that? You're not. I don't even know how old you are.
I'm 39.
39.
Yeah, but it's a like fact in life that age goes up. So
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. When I get to 39, I'll see.
Yeah.
But that's like,
yeah.
well, you're still very young, and you have. I think for your followers in somewhere in, say, Iran, it must be very inspiring to see someone who very publicly had a platform, lost the platform, has rebuilt the platform. I would hope that I can only imagine that inspires a lot of people, that you get that feedback. Mm-hmm. Mona, you aren't just one of the quartet of people organizing this Divan Events. You're a doctor? You studied genetics?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is like a Persian overachiever. Are you also an engineer or just a doctor?
No.
Okay.
Nothing, actually. I'm just a planner now. None of them.
Now, the obvious question is, does that background in your education, can you bring any of that to this, or is this a completely different world?
It's completely different. That's a complete part of me. So that's like my educational background, and this is, I think, like kind of like my passion. So the art and also this part of job is like I just like art and fashion. So this is the part of my mind and my character, I think, so that this comes up.
And do you feel like you're betraying your your parents? I don't know, your path of the.
No, now at this time, no, they're happy. My mom actually, she's really happy with this job. Yeah, but that's a very extra like working. So working hours is like non-stop working, but it's more successful, I think. So I'm really happy now.
Iran to. Maybe to you guys who go back and forth, it's not as different for me as someone who grew up, despite being in an Iranian family with Iranian parents and all, but never having to be able to go there after I was a kid. It feels like such a different world. It feels like almost mystical, like, I don't know what to expect if I landed in Iran. I go to places like Istanbul and think, is this what Iran is like? In the realm of something like event planning, how similar is it doing something like this in Tehran as it would be in Toronto?
It's slightly different because in Iran, like people attention like more in luxury way. So and they do really like fancy events. So and in a wedding industry, if I just want to say, so it's completely different from here. So Iran is like they're like super luxury, so in that part, but
that's here, what's valued.
Yes,
you want to do luxury.
Yeah, everyone's want it. So if they don't have money, so they spend money on their weddings, on their parties and everything. But here in like Canada, so I think people mostly do like simpler. In a way that more simpler, yeah. So and they don't want like spend more money on these kind of occasions. So as long as they have fun, so that's enough. So
how does that affect the way you guys do your events then? You have to make it, I guess, more accessible in terms of the costs of things, or.
Yes.
Yeah, it's our challenge actually, because even like in Tehran, if you ask the vendors that you should spend this much of money.
Stop hitting the table. Can we get Tanaz and Hasti, somebody to stop her? Go ahead.
Yeah. So in Tehran, if this events were in Tehran, vendors would accept to spend more money.
Huh.
So we could be able to do more touch of luxury in our events. But here in Vancouver. In Vancouver, we did have some challenges with like the mindset of people. Like they are not interested to spend high amount of money on participating in an event. So we tried to design packages for them that still have the touch of luxury, but our hands are tight in spending.
Do you choose the vendors, or do you sort of put out a call for?
Yeah, we have a filter. People send their resumes to our website, and four of us, we sit together and we do some analyze on their businesses and stuff, and we pick the ones that we all four like.
And there's a charity element to this as well.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
So all of us think that giving back is really important. So in our business, so we always try to participate with a charity. Like in Vancouver, we collaborate with DR Foundation, which they build hospitals and schools for Sistan Balochistan children and stuff. So we are now open to collaborate with any trustworthy charity worldwide. So we always donate a portion of Divan income to charity, and our heart says that we want to give it back to Iran. So if any charity is interested to work with us, they're more than welcome to send us an email.
Nice.
And we can get in touch with them.
You guys are you're slowly also shifting into addressing wellness. One of the things one of the events here in Toronto is a wellness kind of event. I have to ask you. I mean, it seems like right now, even where our new Roqe studio is here, where we're just down the street, there's 20 wellness places. You know, I mean, it seems like it's such the rage right now. And we've had a few guests on recently. You know, Anusha, who's going to be joining us for Roqe Live 3 as well at the end of September. She's in that space, and I know you work with Hossein Ora and other people. Why do you think that has become such a thing of this moment? This interest in wellness.
You know, this is a really growing industry during these days, because the pace of life is very high nowadays. So people need peace of mind. People need to integrate wellness somehow to their lives.
Right.
So most of the people are attracting to meditation, life coaching sessions, mindfulness, breath work, and so this is exactly the thing that we saw, what people need these days. And we started Divan Wellness to not only focus on fashion, art, and luxury aspects of life, but also focus on ourselves, on each person's self. So we started Divan Wellness. We started it with Hossein Ora, and he was amazing, and the experience was amazing. During our events and workshops, wellness workshops, we do breath work, meditation, self improvement lessons, life coaching. It's really great, really great. For me, the most favorite part of Divan is Divan Wellness. This is my huge passion.
Go ahead, Mona. You too?
Yeah, that's my idea as well. Yeah. It was really interesting. I was like our last event with Hossein Aura, so that was amazing. That was amazing experience that four of us had actually, and also the people who came. So
400 people.
Yeah, 400 people came, and it was like amazing experience. Like people all like emotional and everything.
When you talk about the speed of life, like why people are gravitating towards needing meditation or something to quell anxiety or whatever it is in that wellness space, which covers a lot. Let's face it, yoga, depression, etc. Part of that is social media, right? I mean, certainly that's the internet. The social media over the last 20 years has revolutionized what we do 24/7.
Yes.
And you're a big part of that. I mean, you're at the forefront of that. And so do you have rules around how much? I mean, sometimes I find, first of all, as much as I kind of have to do it for the show or for myself or whatever, I generally hate, I really don't like posting things. I don't feel, it's kind of like something you have to do to kind of for brand building or something. But it's most of the time, unless it's like a cute picture of my dog or something, most of the time it feels like an effort. But part of the reason I don't like doing it is because if I post something, then there's the follow through of for the next 24 hours answering people who've responded or saying thank you for your like or whatever. It's a lot of work, right? It's like, and for someone like you who is doing that all the time and surely getting all kinds of feedback all the time, how do you manage your own wellness in the middle of all that?
Social media has good and bad, so pros and cons. I think that social media is really great in a way that you find your network, you do brand your business and stuff. You get connected with people. That's really fun and cool. But the bad side effect is that the depression that caused by social media, comparing yourself with many people on social media. And I always say this on my page, that what you see on our pages or other people's pages is just a cover. It's not the depth. So it's like a closet. You see some beautiful closets, but when you open it, it might be messy. It might be like full of like even like dirty dresses that should be washed. So our lives are like this, and you see the good version of us on social media, but there's lots
which is
of
sometimes
things.
a lie.
Yeah, of course. And there's lots of things that is going in our lives that we don't talk about it, we don't like open it up. And I was like reading something that most of, especially influencers, are facing with depression.
Yeah.
Because they should pretend that they're always happy.
Yeah.
They're always good, always in a good
and
mood,
everyone
good
in the world
shape.
has access to you all of a sudden.
Exactly.
If you're a public person at all, used to be that you could stay away and come out when you need to, or meet people after the concert, whatever. Now you have to be there 24/7. So do you turn off your phone at night?
I put it on silent and I get far from it, and
Put it in another room?
Yes,
Okay.
another room. And sometimes I go on social media detox. I don't check my Instagram, WhatsApp, and blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's like public job. So that's exactly why that I told you that as I grow up, as age goes up, I want to be...
Now that you're extremely old, yes.
I want to get far from social media. I mean, this is exactly what I told you, because it caused a lot of side effects.
Well, I was thinking about you guys because it's so hard for you look, the posts for Divan, or even I find, Bahar, you sometimes you sort of you do a post about something you've learned, about judgment, say, and it's beautiful. But when you do an Instagram, when you guys first got to Toronto, you did like an Instagram live. Here we are, we're in Toronto here, and I'm getting ready to go out, and I'm putting on makeup, and I was watching it, I was thinking, this is like you're really opening yourself up. Now, I know this sounds like I'm 100 years old. I know everybody's doing this now, and like 12-year-olds do this, but I still question whether that ever feels like a violation to you, that everyone feels like they then know you, even though they really don't necessarily know you. They don't know who you are. They don't know you in person. They don't know your deepest thoughts, but you're kind of sharing all of this with them. Can you speak to why do you like that Instagram Live? Is that really just branding business, or is that something that you feel like is fun to do, or why would you want to do that? I got to Toronto. Let's turn it on. We're in the bathroom getting ready.
Yeah. So half of it is about branding for Divan. So we're like announcing that we are here. We're gonna have event. Come join us. Blah blah. And half of it is my passion too. So. Since I was a kid, I love to get friends with people, to hang out with people, get to know more people, I always build a friendship with even you right now. If you come to Vancouver, I really like to take you to different places.
What do you mean, even you?
No, I mean the people. Like همه کسایی که all of the people that even I work with them,
yes, I got you.
Right now we knew each other through podcasts.
True.
But if you come to Vancouver, I want you to be my friend.
Yes.
Like to come out with me, to explore the city with me, to come to our parties.
Yeah.
This is my characteristic since I was a kid. So I think half of it is the passion that I have.
You're a people person.
Yeah.
You want to interact with people.
Exactly.
Mona, are you the same way?
No.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm thinking, because there's 4 of you,
Yeah.
and surely there's different levels of how much you want to expose yourselves. So how do you manage that?
Before you start, the funniest thing about my business partners is that all of them hate social media. Trust me.
We're
They're
not social.
And they have
media.
you as a partner.
Exactly.
Could you please turn the camera away? We're in the bathroom. Yeah.
Exactly.
How do you do it?
Places, like when we're just working, we're just eating, we're just like having lunch. Oh my God, Bahar, stop doing that. Stop taking photos on social media. Oh my God, Hasi is really tired. Okay, this is Hasi's pictures with really tired face. So yeah, that was the funny part. But it's really like Bahar. So Bahar's, when she's doing that, it's really
well, that is her job too, right? She's the PR
and we are, exactly. That's our successful way. So Bahar is really working hard in that way. So people know us. People know this is like connections between the people that we have on social media. So they should have to know us first. So know Mona's personality, know Tana's personality. So they should know us, that this is our not we are always fancy in a fancy dresses, like in a very attitude. They just see us with attitude maybe, but yeah, this is something different, so they know without any cover.
So where do you guys want to take Divan?
We for sure don't want to stay in Vancouver and then Canada only, so we have ambitious plans for Divan. We're gonna take this kid to many places, and this is Toronto is our first destination event for us. So this baby Divan, her home is Vancouver. So this is first time that she's been taken out of Vancouver, and then hopefully in the near future it will go out of Canada as well.
I can't imagine that. I can't even imagine this not being successful. You guys are, really, you're so, but it's so interesting to me. Like it's a measure of the age we live in. Of it's 2024. That event planners. I mean, I don't want to minimize what you do, but that event planners who create pop-ups and can be the rock stars of. that people are excited to. I mean, they're bypassing the Coldplay concert to come and see Divan. That's why I want to. That's my band. That's what. It's so cool. It's so cool what the culture you're creating around that, and that you do it in helping to support, as you always have, as long as I've known you, Bahar, wanting to support young designers, Iranian designers, back the work you were doing, Mona, back in Iran as well. I mean, that element to it is very exciting, and I can't imagine you're not shy that this is also a business for you, right? You're okay to make shitloads of money doing this.
It's not loads of money yet, but hopefully in the future.
You want that.
Loads of
You're
money.
not pretending that that's not part of it. That's
Of course, we do business because we all want to have income. We
Right.
are
Make money.
independent women that we are, spending out of our pockets. So we want to for sure make money.
All
This
right.
is a must, but it's not only money. It's passion.
of course.
And it's the passion for this job. It's the passion to collaborate, to support people like us, that they started their own business here out of Iran. So it's a combination of everything. Of course, money is included.
It's so nice to have you guys here. Now, Hasti and Tenos are not here, so I'll just address you two in these questions, in this quick round of questions before we go. Although you can invoke their names if you want to, but say between the two of you, who's more easygoing?
Among four of us?
Among the two of you, but
Among two of us?
Yeah.
Mona. I should be honest.
so, and who's higher maintenance? Who takes longer to do things like get ready, for example? Bahar, I think you're going to be
She's so honest, so that's good. At least.
okay. Who's the most
All the
honest?
bad things on me.
Wow.
I already know who's most organized. It's not you.
Organized?
Yeah,
Of course not me. Tannas first,
yeah.
Mona second, and Hasti none. Even worse than me.
okay.
And me not organized as well.
Who's the most fun?
Fun? I think Bahar.
Maybe
And Hasti.
me and Hasti.
Yeah.
Okay. And who's the
too.
most serious?
Tannas.
Tannas,
Okay.
and then Mona.
She had to throw you in there.
This whole, yeah.
But the cool thing is that accidentally, me and Mona are born in the same day.
On the same
Both
day,
of
yeah.
us are
Same year too?
No, not same
No.
year, but
Okay.
same day.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeke Farvadi Mishachi?
21st of March.
What? Oh, the first day of spring?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's really interesting.
And we had birthday together
Yeah,
for
always,
3
yeah.
years.
That's
yeah.
really
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
guys, I'm so happy to have you in Toronto. So happy to see you in person.
Can I add something?
Of course.
Thank you so much for having us, and your support means a lot. Since the day first
Yes.
that we had our podcast till now, it's been like 4 years, and it's a pleasure seeing you in your studio, and it's super pretty. You
Our
have
new
a
studio.
It's
You're the
really
first.
super
You're the first interview in the new
gorgeous.
studio.
Oh,
Yes,
that's
it
Yeah.
reminds me of San Francisco.
Oh,
Your studio
oh.
reminds me of San Francisco.
Wonder what that means.
Arty and like cool. It's really nice.
You know what?
And
You know what I learned from you today?
What? Whoa.
Oh my God.
We basically need a new desk after the first interview we've done.
And we are happy that we get connected with you again here.
It's
and
so great.
We
It's so great. I'm
hope
so,
to see you
and
again.
I'm very
Yeah,
proud. I'm
thank
proud of you
you.
guys. I really am. I mean, obviously, you don't need me to say that, but you're doing great. And
Thank you so much for all the time you put today. You're sick, and
Shh. The audience doesn't need to know that.
no,
Except
but
for my
this-
large nose is even larger today.
But this means a lot to
Thank
us.
you.
Yeah,
Like
really.
supporting without any anything. I don't know
Not
how to say,
expecting
like,
anything.
بدون
Yeah.
چشماش,
No,
yeah, so
listen. Part of our mission is to support like in the
Thank
same
you
way.
so
So,
much.
and you have to come for a Roqe Live. Now we're doing one
Sure.
September 27th, and we said already Anusha's part of it, and Nusha Farin, and
love Anusha.
Shapal Shapare, and so much. But
Oh,
yeah,
Shaba,
yeah,
Shaba,
yeah.
oh my my God, my icon is Shahram Shapare.
Well, maybe you should make a trip to Toronto to come
Of
to
course.
see.
Unfortunately, I'm out of country for that. After this Divan event, we will go for a break.
From
We
each
all
other.
will, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Each other from Canada.
یعنی
from
معلوم
Divan.
شد خیلی سخته کار کردن با این.
Too much pressure. Too much pressure for destination.
We don't want to
events.
hear each other's voice anymore.
Bahar Eslami, Mona Hassanzadeh, merci.
Thank you so
much,
much.
Jian, for having us
Merci.
today.
واقعا
Thank you.
means a lot and hope to see you soon in Vancouver.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, back here with Smart Pegah. There you go. Bahar Eslami, Mona Hassanzadeh, Ambitious Humans.
Ambitious girl band.
Ambitious Divan.
Yeah, that was great. I actually, one thing that I really admire and heard with what Bahar said is the way that she reacts to social media. I thought that was really interesting, and something we've often talked about is, the way that social media has so much negativity, but the fact that, she's reached out to these people instead of just blocking them. I thought that was
Choosing
incredible.
to reach out.
Yeah.
That can be fraught sometimes, but yeah, that's her new method.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm just very impressed with their drive and their unabashed desire for global domination. And Armin Amiri too. Always a pleasure to have him here. This is the end of the first show.
End of our first.
I mean, the first show of the season 6. Actually,
the new
our
season.
338th show, which is actually our 378th show if you include the contemporary history of Iran and all the other things we've done.
All that to say, come see us next week.
Welcome to the new studio,
Yes.
and come to Roqe Live 3.
That's right.
Friday, September 27th. We'll see everybody there. Get your tickets right now by going to our Instagram page, and in the bio you can link the
in
tickets
bio.
there, or to our website roqemedia.com, where you can also see everything that all of our previous episodes, videos, etc. They're all at roqemedia.com. Thanks to the amazing team who put this show together. Super Smart Pegah, Super Parisa, Smart Pegah, Savvy Rohan, Bearded Omid, Talented Anahita, Methodical Kaveh. Thanks to our new team member Tina. Thanks to all of you out there for supporting us and sharing our content. Please subscribe if you've not done so already. Find me on Instagram at Jian Gomeshi. Thanks to Samine as well. And as ever, Mizun Bashin.